Notre Dame hoping the third time is the charm in the national title game. But, of course, first they've got to get there in women's college basketball. I'm Tom Vandervoort here to break down the Norfolk region, where Notre Dame is the #1 seed. Brooke Weisbrod, this is all brought to us, of course, by UPS and the UPS Team Performance Index. I know, Brooke, that you like Notre Dame this year. You think they've got some mojo going. Just talk to me about their big three and what their players are able to do.
I do think it's mojo. It's something with the magic of the Irish this year, and it started with the football team. Then it transferred over to the men's basketball team with that 5 overtime win against Louisville. I just think there's something going on in South Bend that I can't explain, but I feel it. I just feel like there's something special about the way that Notre Dame's playing this year, and it's going to start at the top, and it starts with Muffet McGraw. The way that she and Skylar Diggins have understood each other. Muffet McGraw told me earlier this season that Skylar is now coaching on the floor so much that she's giving the message to the team before Muffet can give the message to Skylar. So
they're in sync.
Totally in sync. And Skylar has found a way to make everybody else better. You know, the superstars always find a way to score. They find a way to defend. When Skylar Diggins can do any of those, but she's gotten her teammates involved, and she'll be the first one to deflect praise from herself to her teammates, which always helps because, I mean, she's got like 300,000 followers on Twitter. She's got the fame, but she's handling it in a way that's directed toward promoting the game and promoting her teammates. So let's talk about her teammates. First of all, Kayla McBride, great mid-range jump shot in terms of how she gets herself open. But she spent some time growing up looking at tapes of Jordan and watching how Jordan scored in the mid-range game.
So she's going to create her own shot sometimes.
She can create her own shot, can come off the screen. A lot of times that screen is set by Natalie Achanwa, Canadian Olympic basketball player. Long, lean, tremendous footwork, tremendous hands. We saw some of the best matchups with her and Stephanie Dolson this year, and just she played so well. And they got a freshman kid in the lineup, Jewel Lloyd. She's a guard from around the Chicagoland area. Decided, professional tennis isn't really for me, so I'm just going to play basketball. I mean, she had the choice to play on the WTA circuit and just thought it was too much of an individual sport, so stuck with the team sport of basketball. But for Notre Dame to get to the Final Four, they've also got a pretty tough road because I can see them having a tough time with South Carolina. I can see them having a really tough time again with Texas A&M, and that's if Texas A&M is able to get by Nebraska, Duke, because I think Duke's going to get by their first round and then maybe DePaul. There are really, really good teams in this region, but the way that it's set up to where Notre Dame is playing, they're going to have great crowd support, and I think at the end of the day, the luck and the magic of the Irish, Final Four.
All right, so someone's going to disrupt that. What's the best way to attack Notre Dame to disrupt their offense?
Well, when I said South Florida before, they took them to overtime. I just think you have to be able to play them straight up, to body up, to take contact, to not be afraid of the screen and roll. You have to be able to defend the ball screen. And we used to do it by hedging really hard. You have that post player that would hedge hard so that the person coming around the screen has to take a larger loop rather than being able to split it and go directly to the basket. So the way you defend that, you have to box out. And Notre Dame is a team of runs. They love to turn you over and score out in the open floor. Their transition game it's so beautiful to watch. It's just so clean, and it looks good, and it's pretty. So you can't turn the ball over, and you have to play great transition defense.
Okay, so talk to me a little bit about the #2 seed in this region, Duke. What's it going to take for them to get to the regional final and give Notre Dame a run for its money?
Well, Duke's got a great post player in Elizabeth Williams. She's 6'5", so I think she could easily match up well with Natalie Achanwa. And Duke's also done a great job without their point guard. Chelsea Gray went out with an ACL tear, all kinds of knee issues toward the end of the season. But Joanne P. McCauley has really reined in that team. Their point guard player is obviously not as strong with Chelsea Gray in there, but with Elizabeth Williams, Trisha Liston, they've also got, Trisha Liston's a good player, by the way, too, from the northern Chicagoland region, three-point shooter. You know, Duke is Duke. Duke is always one of those teams that there's excellence there year in, year out, but I just feel like once they get to the tournament, they don't find a way to finish the job, if that makes sense.
All right, so before we go, I have to ask you, I know you've been getting your game notes from some of the UPS guys here in Chicago, so who are those guys?
Charlie and Lloyd, you guys have been so wonderful. I have to tell you, every time I walk in there, we would immediately start talking basketball, but the last time I was in there, I walked in and they said, "Did you see that Notre Dame-UConn game? You could have blown me over." I'm like, now we're walking in talking about women's basketball. I love it. So you guys have been great. Thank you so much for your help, and I have probably run you out of paper the last couple of weeks.
Well, you know, speaking of UConn and Notre Dame, that could be a matchup again in the national semifinal. Be very, very interesting. For Brooke Weisbrod, I'm Tom Vandervoort. Thanks to UPS, and thanks so much for watching.